Boom. Hello, people of Earth. Is anyone in there? I don't see anyone, but I trust that there is somebody here as I spit my words into the nothing of the internet. Hello, how's it going? How's it shaking? What's cracking? My name is Jeremy Dawson. My students call me Jeremy. I'm an ELA teacher here at Options for Youth. I have been for about almost 6 years now. I'd like to take a minute to explain why it is I do what I do here at Options teaching. Fortunately, I've been at the same school for quite a long time. I love it here. This is a very unique school. It's very different than any other school. I have a dual role in that I teach ELA for 11th and 12th grade, and I also have a full caseload of independent study students, which means I'm working with students from as young as 14 to as old as 19 and 20 on all aspects of different disciplines in high school. But my classroom teaching is English. The first thing that I have to say is why I teach. The first thing is certain things that I experienced as a young man that turned out to be pretty traumatic, that shaped the way that I exist in the world today. Without getting into the weeds of it too much, long story short, several things happened when I was really young that I was really kind of saved from a certain darkness by teachers who just cared. In fact, I will say this, my 7th grade English teacher in 1995 was a woman named Miss Carroll. She's still a dear friend of mine to this day, all these years later. Her presence in my life made a significant difference in the direction that it ended up taking. She wasn't the only teacher that I became friends with. But long story short, I like to provide a place where students know that they can come and they're safe and they can express themselves and they can be seen and heard without judgment, and they know that they have a place that they can seek refuge anytime. I think that's just as important, if not more important, than understanding the difference between a metaphor and a comma splice, or a simile, or how to write a 5-paragraph essay, or do in-text citations. The content is fun, but to me the important thing is the human connection and the empathy that a teacher can show a child. I think is very, very, very important. Speaking of content, another reason I teach is I like the content. I like the books that we talked about back in the 90s in high school. I think that it's cool. I think it's fun. I like writing. I like teaching people how to write. I enjoy watching a young person go from being scared that there's going to be 5 essays in a semester to finishing that 5th essay, and then they're proud of themselves and how much they've grown and how much they've changed, and seeing that confidence grow in a young person. It's really fun. To be honest, I really enjoy the energy of young people. I think it's fun. I think it is good for people my age to engage with youth. I think it benefits both sides, the younger person and the older person. Another thing too is, as I was growing up, I was always a very creative person. I play music, play guitar, play piano, and I write songs. And I spent my 20s traveling and writing and performing and doing things like that. These are the kind of things that I can no longer do at this age. Thus, I think that my approach to teaching is very much like a creative outlet. I don't do creative writing anymore. I really don't write music anymore. I don't write songs anymore. I don't travel. But I do have an audience. So every day, I have this ability to be creative and to put things out into the world and to express myself and bounce those ideas off of other people and get their feedback. And it becomes kind of a living thing. And it's different than being a young person and doing a more traditional creative endeavor. But I do think that teaching itself is a creative act. And I think that teaching can be a performative act. These are two things that I like and I find to be very fun. Last thing I'll say is I try to encourage into my students the notion that there's nothing wrong with learning, that too often young people, and I was one of them when I was younger, you would have to say, what does this have to do with my life? This isn't going to make a difference for me. Why am I doing this? Why do I have to learn this word? And one thing I'll tell them is, there's never been an occasion in life when somebody learned a new word and thought, oh man, I wish I didn't do that. It's never happened. anything that you learn in school, you might not ever use it. That's true. You might not use it, but it will make your life a richer experience. The more things you know, the richer the world around you is, the more fun life can be, the more interesting life can be. If you're reading something and you don't understand what the word means, or if you see something that's supposed to be funny on a movie or on a TV show and you don't get the cultural reference, it's not going to be funny. It's not going to be interesting. The more that a person knows, it will only make their life better. It'll only make their life richer. So that's probably one of the main things that I try to instill in my students. And maybe I'm doing a good job. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But that's all I got. So thanks for your time. And goodbye, Internet.